Hello, everyone. How you guys all doing? Welcome to the Eco Flake Show, episode 11. And Pagan, we finally did it. We finally got to play the video for our audience today.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm just a bit curious though. I think the sound might have been too loud from it because when I pressed the intro, it was like, whoa, that was really loud for me.
Yeah, I maybe pressed like mute on my laptop so it didn't come screaming through.
Hopefully, going forward, I can keep playing that for you guys on StreamYard because they are quite fussy for sure when it comes to intro videos and whatnot. Because I don't want to be paying them 44 quid or whatever it is they want for special features and whatnot. I really don't. And like Dave McGuinness says, I really need to look into restream because if I can do two screens on restream, I might do that instead of StreamYard. I just need to make time for it, which I don't have. I never have any time apparently, especially when I get getting paid by Facebook to promote wrestling and also doing this at the same time. Doesn't leave a lot of space for freedom. Also, as well, I want to share some terrible news with you guys. Dolly, I think she had her eye scratched by Jasper. Whether it was last night, I think last night or the night before. She's not been opening her eye, and I can see the water in her eye. She's been very even more shyer than usual today, and I've had to really kind of push her to go and eat because she didn't really want fancy moving up and about. But before I came up here, she was actually walking about, which actually makes a change because she's been lounging her fat ass on top of the sofa chair for a while, on top of the sofa for a while. So I will send you a picture. I'll put a picture up tomorrow, guys, and I'll let you guys know updated. We may have to take her to the vets to get it looked at. We have ordered some eye drops. However, it is almost impossible to put eye drops on her because I can't even pick her up because she'll run away and she'll like this, making it impossible. So it's gonna take like 4 people to hold her down and hold our eye open in order to put eye drops in. So I don't know if or when we're going to be doing that.
What do eye drops these days where like you keep your eyes shut and it goes like into the eye anyway?
Guys, also, can you just let us know the volume for One Angry Pagan, if it's too high or too low, if he needs to make adjustments on his side. Also, let me know what the mic is like on my end, because I know last time I was using StreamYard with Graham Price, we had some issues. I think it was more connection issues more than anything. But if we have them here tonight, let me know, guys. It's really, really important. But past all that, Pagan, how are you doing, my friend? Are you okay?
Oh, I'm not too bad. I'm just trying to muddle my way through the next month or so until I can get a proper PC, because not having a webcam has really slowed stuff down on my channel.
Yeah.
And having to do this off my phone, like it's quieter than it ordinarily would be. So I'm trying to speak loud enough so people can hear me, but not so loud that I piss off downstairs.
Yeah. Richard said, "Yeah, you're a bit quiet, but you'll try to speak when you can, as best you can on that. But obviously, he doesn't want to shout the house down as well at the same time. Yeah, there. Given that, I suppose we better get started then. The first story I will touch on, guys, is one that Pagan has provided us here. Let's see if I can just get here. So, boom. Scroll down. There we go. From the Financial Times here. And the headline is "Too hot to handle, guys. The climate change is pushing Arab regions to limits," says the WMO. The stretch of 22 countries is warming at twice the global average, the inaugural UN agency report is showing. Are we surprised by this? I mean, I mean, I don't know. So there are some, like, because I've been the last couple of weeks now. I have, when I do the weather report on the Good Morning Show, I actually have a look at like the world temperatures. But maybe it's just the BBC just doesn't update the temperatures for the rest of the world and only certain parts of it. But temperatures haven't. It is still quite cool in some parts of Arab, in some of the Middle East and Arab areas at the moment.
This
But
time
there
of
are,
year.
yeah, because of the time of the year. But maybe it's supposed to be colder normally. But
Well, if you look at if you scroll down, it'll show you the heat map, and you can see that like
it's not on.
the most northern and southern. Oh, is it not on there? I've got
I can't do it. I can't use the Financial Times because it's behind a paywall.
Well, I've got a heat map in front of me. And see if I can show you there. But I don't know if you can see it properly. That around Saudi Arabia, in the middle of the Arabian Peninsula, it gets a bit cooler, whereas it's a lot warmer, like towards going south towards Yemen and upwards towards Iraq and Syria and Lebanon and Israel. Even you've got to remember that it can also depend on the altitude that you're at. So if you're at higher altitude, it will be cooler.
Yeah.
Like the Tibetan plateaus, it can be really dry, but it can be fairly cool in terms of temperature. And that's largely because of the altitude. When people think about the Middle East or West Asia, as I call it, they forget that it's also full of mountains. And for example, if we take Afghanistan, I know that's not the Arabian Peninsula, but it's adjacent on the other side of the sea. There are areas which are cooler, but there are areas which are a lot warmer because it's so close to sea level, and it's just wide open plains. So, yeah, I it's only going to get worse for the most part in and not just the Arab region, across northern Africa as well.
Yeah, I think
Turkey and Greece.
Well, also the mountains are the reason why they have the monsoon as well. That's especially and it contributes to some of the devastating floods, which are getting worse in some of those countries over there. Sri Lanka, Thailand, Indonesia. I'm sure I'm missing one or two other countries that are being affected by the flooding as well. In those areas, I think it's because I don't know if I'll have time to cover it. Because we've got quite a lot of stories. But yeah, it says so far over 1,250 people have died so far from those devastating Asia floods. And that's obviously caused by not so much, well, I'd say climate change has contributed to it, but it's natural as well because of the way the mountains are positioned geography-wise and monsoon there.
Also remember that when the Muslims do the Hajj, the journey to Medina and for their pilgrimage, a lot of people die of dehydration because of the climate around there. I will just say that Steve McMorran turned around and said that he's right where he says there's a difference between weather and climate. So just because it can be hot in terms of weather doesn't mean that the climate is going to be hot because it's higher up in altitude. Whereas if you lower down to sea level, the climate is different, even though weather may be similar.
Yeah. Just before I read into this, good evening to Pete, Stephen Mon, good to see you there, Richard, Jao, one of our moderators as well. If you guys have a problem with the list hearing from One Angry Pagans, Mike, just let us know so he can make the adjustments if need be from there, guys. So the Arab regions was being pushed to its limits by intense heat waves and severe droughts. In the latest World Meteorological, am I saying that right? I hope so. Organization report found as it warms at twice the global average. The study found extreme events last year affected 3.8 million people
Yeah.
and led to more than 300 deaths, mainly from heat waves and floods. The first such report compiled by UN agencies, including the League of Arab States. The region covered 22 countries, stretching from the Arabian Peninsula and the Levant.
That's like Lebanon sort of area.
Yep, thank you. To North Africa and Somalia to the south, experienced an average near-surface temperature rise of 1.08 degrees above the 1991 to 2020 average and 1.94 degrees Celsius above the 1961-1990 baseline. The WMO Secretary General Khalis Saldo and intense heat waves has said intense heat waves, where temperatures have hit 50 degrees in some Arab countries, were pushing societies to the limit. And that's also, I think, I don't know how much. Like, I think Tehran is an example of major water problems. Yes, some of it is down to corruption as well, because they have a lot of corruption within with their water companies and whatnot. There's been a lot, of my understanding, but they're looking to move the capital, and one of the reasons is obviously due to lack of water in their area. Yes, climate change is a contributing factor to it, but I also believe there's corruption that's taking part of it as well, because a lot of companies and business people have taken advantage of the water in their capital as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I mean, it's poor. It's also poor planning. The population since the 1980s till now around Iran has exploded, and just like in other poor parts of the world, like the populations might have exploded, but the people in charge did not bother to beef up the infrastructure, or they didn't have money to beef up the infrastructure. I mean, where Celeste Solar says that, you know, the intense heat waves with temperature hitting 50 degrees in our countries, like that's what you're probably seeing that in Saudi Arabia when they do the Hajj, which is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact that Syria gets hit really heavy when it comes to heat because of it being low-lying plains quite a lot of the time. It's bordered by mountains, so they lose humidity as well.
Thank you, Viper Scott, for the 5 gifted memberships. Or Alliston Kier, to Derek Crew 75112, Chris C 84, Miss LB, Matt Parker, and Mad Monk 3356. It's all been gifted memberships there. Thank you so much, my friend, for the gifted memberships. Hope you are doing well, and good to see you there, Mad Monk. Even though you're just listening in, no worries, getting ready for work. It's totally fine, my friends. Good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Ellie and Martin Briss, good to see you guys there as well. And I just wanted to cover that there. Appreciate it. Hey, he's not so angry. I'm not chaos, says Ellie. Not yet, guys. Not yet. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll find something for Pagan to be angry about, because there's always something to be angry about when it comes to our lack of not enough action being done when it comes to this stuff, guys.
Or just general ignorance from the public.
So human health, ecosystem, and economics can't cope with extended spells of more than 50 degrees. It's simply too hot to handle, she says. Yeah, and the thing is, like, in these, as you said, like, in these areas, like, you're going to need serious amount of, like, I think, like some of the richer, wealthier countries, like Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they have the money, the resources to be able to develop the technology and the buildings and whatnot.
Desalinization plants, and as they're looking into doing this anyway, desalinization plants powered by solar energy. If they do that, they can solve a lot of their problems, because desalinization plants are energy intensive. But countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE are looking at doing massive solar farms anyway. So I don't see why they can't. I mean, it could be a way to bring the temperature, the the geopolitical temperature down with Afghanistan. No, like they could help Afghanistan with desalinization plants if they want to move their capital down to the south coast of Afghanistan, like they said they would. They did that. The UAE and Saudi Arabia are only across the pond.
Yeah, but there's also political. It's also political stuff, politics as well as climate, unfortunately. But politics should be pushed aside when it comes to dealing with our climate, because we all live on this planet. To be fair,
unfortunately, still too many people refuse to believe that things are just getting warmer, despite the evidence.
The frequency and severity of extreme weather and climate events have increased significantly in recent years. The WMO has said, with an 83% rise in recorded disasters between 1980 and 1999 period, and 2019 period. The research comes after fierce resistance by the Arab groups of 22 countries led by Saudi Arabia to climate action, including plans to wean economics off fossil fuel at the UN COP30 climate summit. Yeah, because their priority is making money, not actually dealing with the planet.
They're going to lose that thing that's making them money, and then they're just going to end up being as poor as they were fucking 40, 50 years ago. It's ridiculous. It's as much self-harm as the UK doing Brexit, if not more.
They're making the same. Well, it's a stark contrast to Qatar, where Qatar are trying to change, not just fully rely on the resources that they have, but develop themselves into a country where they can be self-sustainable. Yeah. They're taking the right direction in all this, rather than just relying on one resource. Stephen Morn, thank you so much for the 20 New Zealand dollars. That's really generous of you. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. Really appreciate
Simon says Afghanistan has a southern coast. It's landlocked. It's surrounded by land from the east to the north and to the west. However, it has a southern coast that directly faces Saudi Arabia and the UAE.
Is it a small bit? It's not a lot, is it?
No.
Maybe I'm going mad to my geography.
You've got two seas on either side of Saudi
Arabia. Yeah.
And on the other, on the eastern sea, I'm looking at my geography. Red Sea, is the Persian Sea is on the other side of that is Afghanistan. Afghanistan has actually got a very long southern coast.
Yeah, I'm going mad today. Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, I was just quickly looking at the map. Yeah, I'm going mad today. Normally, I should know this considering my geography, to be fair. Apologies. Let me finish reading the rest of this. So the burning of fossil fuels is the chief cause of human-induced climate change, but many oil producers in the region still rely heavily on the exports to fund their economics, despite some beginning to roll out solar and wind energy projects in their own countries. Last year was the hottest on record globally, and this year is expected to be amongst the top 3 warmest, despite the cooling efforts of the naturally occurred
La Nina.
La Nina. I thought it was El Nino. Is that different? Am I thinking something different?
El Nino and La Nina.
Okay. What's La Nina? I'm not aware of La Nina.
La Nina is more of a cooling effect. La Nina, El Nino is more of is more like building up energy of the storms.
Okay.
Yeah, the weather cycles. It's a lot more complex than that, but yeah. Keep it simple.
Cycle in the Pacific Ocean there. The WMO said this week that there was a 55% chance of a weak La Nina affecting weather and climate patterns over the next 3 months. And last month, the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, get my words, get your teeth in, Regan, said that the latest indication suggested La Nina was underway again, having initially occurred at the start of 2025 before returning to neutral conditions. The WMO's report warned that drought conditions in the Arab regions have been worsened, particularly in Western North Africa, after 6 consecutive failed rainy seasons. 15 of the world's most water-scarce countries are located in the area. And at the same time, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates have been hit by extreme rainfall and flash floods that cause death and destruction.
I mean, you got to think the farmers here. I mean, we've got a story to talk about in a bit about farmers here. I have an issue. Farmers in Africa are having it 50 times worse.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to touch on that. I don't know if you saw Phil Morehouse's video on it today. Because I did watch that the last hour or two. Rosia Dashki, I hope I pronounced that right.
Rolla Dashki.
Thank you. Yeah, you are my corrector because I'm terrible with words, guys. You guys know that. Executive Secretary of the U.S. Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia said declining rainfall affects water scarcity and jeopardizes food production, while rising sea levels also threaten coastal cities. The region faces a magnitude of different pressures, scientists said.
Francesco Paparella,
the director of
Rubidala Arabian Center for Climate and Environmental Sciences at New York University, Abu Dhabi,
pointed out that the warming Gulf Sea was also causing higher humidity. This was leading to higher heat stress for people living in the coastal cities of the Gulf, while increasing the strength and precipitation of storms. However, its technology makes a place livable or not livable. He added, for Gulf nations, it's very important to maintain a level of affluence, technology, and energy availability that makes possible ubiquitous air cooling.
So they're basically they're saying they're going to rely on technology to get them out of it. I mean, to a point, yeah, that they're not wrong, but they're also going to have to look at geoengineering. They're also going to have to look at whereabouts their population centers are placed.
Yeah.
As we've already noted, Tehran's having that same issue right now.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Iran has a large southern coast into the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman.
Persian Gulf. I couldn't remember.
Thank you, Jal, for that.
No, Afghanistan is not landlocked. Mad Monk, it's not landlocked, my dude.
Okay, look. We're not going to get into a geography spat right now, guys. Okay.
We'll talk about Iran, not Afghanistan. I was talking about Afghanistan, and we'll talk about Iran, not Iraq.
He's talking about. Go.
Yeah, no, it's right, Mad Monk. I got the wrong. It was Iran, not Afghanistan. Yeah, you're right. Although it's, I'm sure
you're getting the countries mixed up. You're mixing Iran. You are mixing Iran with Afghanistan. Yes. Pakistan is stopping it from reaching the oceans. So it's landlocked there.
It was Iran I was talking about, because I was trying to talk about Iran. I was talking about Iran. Iran, I was mistaking for Afghanistan.
Yeah. Apologies. See when we get it wrong, holds our hands up, guys. Yeah, unlike other people out there. Just saying, we can hold our hands up when we get it wrong. So, see, we're not afraid to admit when we get it wrong. You know what? So, right, let's switch. Interesting one here from the Guardian here, guys. So, the global race to secure critical minerals for weapons threatens climate wars, a report. So studies reveal that US earmarked billions to stockpile critical minerals for military use, including precision-guided weaponry and AI-driven warfare.
I mean, this is going to be annoying because to a point I'm going to understand.
Why are we doing this? Like, we have to build more toys.
Well, given Russia's aggression and
it's about self-defense, isn't it? More about.
Yeah, it's all well and good to not want an army, but it's a bit naive. I get that it's best if no one has an army, but Russia's invasion of Ukraine should tell us that we can't ignore it anymore. And I get this, but at the same time, this is a proper wind up.
Afghanistan's navy is easy to beat, says Simon says. Yeah, it's got to be quite.
Again, I meant Iran.
Yeah, you guys are going to troll us all day in the chat now on that.
Hey, I don't mind.
Okay. Good to see you there, Simon. So, it's critical minerals are being diverted to make the latest military hardware, according to a report. So, the study from the Transition Security Project, a joint US and UK venture, reveals how the Pentagon is stockpiling huge stores of critical minerals that are needed for a range of climate technologies, including solar panels, wind turbines, electric vehicles, and battery storage.
That's also true.
That's
also true.
He found that since the US President Donald Dumbass Trump passed his One Big Dumbass bill earlier this year, the Pentagon, through its National Defense Stockpile Program, has earmarked billions of dollars to secure a growing list of critical minerals for use in military hardware, from precision-guided weaponry and advanced communication systems to an emerging arsenal of military technologies such as AI-driven or autonomous warfare platforms. And that is where weaponry is going now. You've definitely noticed over the last 5-10 years that we have seen it's not so much about the soldiers on the battlefield now. It's more about the drones.
Yeah.
It's all drones now. That's where it is.
Including, I mean, look at the leaks that Ukraine has made on underwater drones.
Yeah, they're building drone factories. They've already built drone factories in Ukraine, since the start of the war, and I don't know I don't know how many drone factories are in Russia, but I mean we know that they're taking drones from Iran, from Tehran. But
you can understand why they'd be stockpiling these stores of critical minerals, because China is the major, it's the major player when it comes to rare earth metal, critical minerals. It's got like 85 to 90% of the world's capacity at the moment. So
yeah,
on purely a strategic standpoint, I can see why they want to do this. The problem that's going to come is the devastating effect that mining has on the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Viper Scott, for the £2 super chat for Ollie there. Yep, for Ollie. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, my friend. There. Skynet, yeah, it's all about Skynet. Yeah, it's all about Skynet. It's coming, guys. Don't worry. Skynet will soon take over, and we will have the war against the machines at some point, I'm sure. All the Matrix that Andrew Tate keeps going on about. So Kiran Rodley, the co-director of the Transition Security Project, has said that the Pentagon's $1 trillion budget supports a global infrastructure designed for US military domination, not national security, using precious resource to feed the expanding military industrial complex, rather than addressing the existential threat of the climate crisis, demonstrating the global insecurity produced by the Pentagon. Yeah. This is about control, essentially.
Yeah, again, given that China controls about 85 to 90% of the production, mining and production of rare earth minerals, like, I can see the need to do it, although I don't think, so a part of me is thinking that Trump and his lot want to downgrade, the importance of green energy and whatnot, because the same materials used to make that will be used to make advanced weapons. I think that might play, but they're ideologically against it anyway. I get that, but I do also think there's the strategic aspect of where they're like, yeah, okay, but we're going to need these minerals for, for military reasons.
Future warfare, with future wars that are going to happen as well, like Venezuela could happen at any point this year. No, not this year. Actually, I actually think Venezuela is going to happen at the time of either the local elections or the presidential election.
That's going to devastate a war there will devastate the northern part of the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, not just and it will also keep Trump in power as well. Saz, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind support. Hope you are doing well. Well, welcome to the chat. my friend. Military spending has increased in large areas of the world in recent years after growing tensions between the US and China and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The report warns that this new arms race is halting attempts to tackle the climate crisis as countries scramble to secure critical minerals for the next generation of weapons. And the study has found at least 38 minerals and metals, including lithium, cobalt, graphite, and rare elements that form the basis of the energy transition. Did I say them right? I did say them right, did I?
Lithium,
I'm going to assume I said them right, guys. Good. I got my minerals right, guys. I've been stockpiled by the Pentagon with potentially devastating effects on climate action. It also found that the Pentagon's Defense Logistics Agency plans to stockpile most 7,500 metric tons of cobalt. The report calculates that could instead be used to produce 80.2 gigawatts of battery capacity. And that's more than double existing energy storage capacity in the US and enough to produce approximately 100,000 electric buses. That would be pretty cool if we could turn all our buses electric, but we're not there yet, unfortunately. The author of the report, Laura, I can't say that. Dang, guys, apologies.
It's basically Laura. Essentially,
Laura. I'm just going to say Laura. Yep. Every ton of cobalt or graphite stockpiled for military could be used instead for electric buses, large-scale energy storage, or other renewable technologies needed for the energy transition. These minerals should accelerate decarbonisation, not fuel the insanable war machine.
See, the US sees China as its key global adversary, and given that China's control over these elements, this isn't me trying to defend them from my own opinions. It's just defending them from their own position. And I can see it. I'm still pissed off that they're doing this because they're sacrificing, the progress in energy and technology for trying to match up China with their war machine, which is annoying considering that America already matches China. It's still ahead of China in terms of its military machine.
It is. They still have a bigger military than China, but China's obviously has rapidly grown really fast.
China's the other thing about China's military is it's untested.
That's true, and also experience, because a lot of America has, there's a lot of soldiers, a lot of veterans who have experienced wars. Not to say that the wars were justified in any way, shape, or form. I'm not justifying that at all. But if it ever happens,
the whole ideology of this is like, the Department of Defense does not do climate change crap. We do training and warfighting. Like that's the headset. Like that's the ideology of this. It is we need to match. We need to make sure we continue to outmatch China. It's like, right. So we're going backwards to make you guys feel safe.
Yeah, because the US have to be the so-called protectors of the free world. So-called free world. The US Department of Defense is the largest industrial emitter of planet heat emissions in the world, responsible for about 8% of the US government's emissions and generating more pollution than in an entire individual countries. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, and I think if anyone does try to, well, there's plenty of statistics out there that proves otherwise on that. Pentagon officials have long been concerned the consequences of the climate crisis could hinder its activities by flooding coastal bases and destabilizing countries through the movement of people in extreme weather. But
it's even a fucking danger for the American military. This is how blind they oh my fucking god.
Do you know what? I generally like if a US military base gets flooded or gets affected by climate change, it's going to be like, we kind of told you so.
It's just it just on military like the military strategists in the Pentagon that actually are paying attention to this. I must be tearing the fucking hair out. Going,
yeah. But under the Trump administration, such considerations have been jettisoned. In March, the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Dumbass Hegseth wrote on X that the Department of Defense does not do climate change crap. We do training and war fighting. Yeah, Pete. You know, you also. I also heard. As we mentioned on my few live streams. I also heard you shoot innocent people. Authorized the shooting of innocent people in boats as well, allegedly. You know,
they changed the Department
that's a topic for another day.
To the Department of War, for fuck's sake. Like, they want blood. They fucking want blood.
They do. They want blood. That is true.
Nazi
but the only
bastard.
thing is there's a little thing called Congress. So are they really going to just ignore Congress?
I really hope Congress goes to spine. I really fucking do.
And the midterms really are going to be important. The report outlines how the new direction is paying out. It shows how the Pentagon's huge $1 trillion annual budget and its influence across the US states and economy allows it to influence mineral supply chains, shape entire markets, absorbing risk, directing investment, and creating demand signals that build strategic industrial capacity for military ends. It found that the Pentagon had funded or signaled interest in supporting at least 20 mining initiatives in the US and Canada, worth almost $1 billion since 2023, including taking direct equity stakes in a critical mineral companies, an unprecedented step in US modern industrial policy. The report states by capturing these minerals to fuel the war machine, Pentagon not only drains resources needed for urgent climate solutions, but also perpetrates a destructive cycle of militarization that undermines global peace and sustainability while crowding out the civilian functions of the federal government. The misplaced prioritization threatens both the planet's future and the possibility of a just collaborative energy transition that benefits all people rather than the narrow military interests. The Pentagon, unsurprisingly, did not respond to a request for comment.
I mean, it's typical. It's typical of the ideology of this U.S. administration. I mean, of administrations as a whole, but the U.S. administration in particular. So, from a military standpoint, it's stupid. You're chucking all your fucking eggs into one fucking basket. Fucking moron. Anyone who is competent in the American military must be tearing their fucking hair out at this.
Why can't we have green energy weapons of war?
I mean, that's just it. You don't even have to have green energy weapons of war. You could have green energy factories that make the weapons. Just strategically, just taking away my climate activist side of me, just militarily speaking, not preparing your military bases for the likelihood of them being flooded by coastal water due to sea level rise is fucking stupid.
It is stupid, guys. But unfortunately, the US aren't, $1 trillion. Like, you just think of all that again, like $1 trillion. Think of how much that could help so many people out there. And it's all being used as weapons of war. Instead of us working together on an international basis, no, we're all got to. Can't trust this country, or can't trust this leader. We can't trust this leader. No, we can't work together, guys, for some reason, which is a sad state of affairs. It is a really sad state of affairs. The next story is one, obviously, I know, Pagan, you're eager to dive into this one, as am I, because we both kind of read up on this, and I've seen one or two people talk about this as well. And that is what's happening with British farmers, guys. So, in particular, farmers are losing more than 800 million after the hottest springs and summer on record to study fires. Let me just read this bit before we talk about it. So crop production this year was hit by the hottest spring and summer on record, including some drought conditions, leaving farmers with 20% less revenue, according to an estimate by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, the ECIU think tank has said.
This was coming. I mean, it's not as the story might go on to say. It's not completely like taken authorities unaware. Like there are farmers that have already been trying to work on it, but we said this was coming and Brexit would just make things even harder on farmers, and now they're complaining. It's just ridiculous.
I think there are actions that the UK government can take to help farmers, but I feel like the noise around the issue with farmers has all been about the inheritance tax, and
they're looking at the government have been talking to farmers about the regenerative farming, where they you regenerate the soil, but you go back to basics, you regenerate the soil rather than just continuing to try and farm on less nutrient rich soil again and again and again. The more you do it, the more the less nutrient rich the soil becomes. So if the government can put more investment towards farmers to help them with regenerative farming, it doesn't have to be as much of a problem.
Yeah, I know not everyone's a big fan of Phil Morehouse, but I do recommend checking out his video on this as well, because he had some ideas that could some good ideas on this. He was saying something about special soil, correct me if I'm wrong as well, that could absorb more water and hold it for longer as well.
That's what what he was talking about was what I was just talking about then. Like regenerating the soil means that the soil can
so it would hold the water for longer
and deeper. It makes it, and those farmers that do use regenerative farming have found that the roots go deeper, meaning they can access more water.
Is this soil that we can produce, or do we need to import it?
It's something we can do. We don't have to just bring it in from abroad.
Okay. Thanks for popping in, Mad Monk. Appreciate it. So, British arable farmers are facing a revenue loss of more than £800 million after one of the worst ever harvests on record, analysis shows. Yeah. So, last couple of farm, the droughts have not been helpful, and this year has been no different for them. They've really had it tough, really.
I know we don't like Jeremy Clarkson, right? But his farming show, instead of listening, I actually use his show to pay attention to the farmers that live around him, because they're not rich like he is, and yeah, they are directly seeing this.
So the crop production this year was hit by the hottest spring and summer on record, as well as drought conditions, leaving farmers with 20% less revenue. According to an estimate by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, the ECI think tank, the estimated loss of 828 million is based on research looking at
hectare yield.
Pre-hectare yield. Figures for wheat, spring, and winter barley, oats, and oilseed, rape and crops areas estimated for the UK. It actually reminds me of I don't know. It actually reminds me there was this video about American farmers and what they're going through, and
a lot of the time they farm alfalfa, which is, oh my god, that is a thirsty crop.
Yeah, and that they really are in that. I don't think British farmers are in the same, not in a worse situation than American farmers, but they're doing really bad right now, and they're desperate for a bailout.
They're sucking the Colorado River dry.
Yeah, and there doesn't seem to be a kind of solution in sight over there. But I do think there are ideas, as you said, there are solutions we can to get around this, and I don't think it's just I don't think it's just a case of money, but it's also, as you said, we've got to come up with solutions to tackle this so that our farms can be protected for the long term, because they're only going to get worse, as you said.
Actually, talking to the farmers will help as well. No, I'm not talking about your rich bastards that you're renting farmers, those that rent the land. These guys are the ones that have been more on board with getting in on the badger vaccine program, and with regenerating the soil for farming program. Don't talk to the big farmers; they don't care. Talk to the smaller farmers, the majority of farmers, which are smaller farmers.
Yeah, Jal says they're experimenting in soil renovation here, and it seems to work in Portugal. He says they use microorganisms and soil rest and moisturizer and combination forest areas with monoculture of crops there. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Chris Fisher, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. He also says there's no use for a bailout for American farmers since they no longer have the markets for the industrial farming style. They are done for. Yeah, they can't just. Yeah, I will just say, obviously, because I don't know American farming as well, but they can't just keep. But based on what I do know, is that they can't just keep bailing out the American farmers when things go well. They've got to adapt to the climate, but also the system that they're under is also an unfair system as well.
I mean, but the thing is, in America, it's all, you see it with farmers here, I get it, but in America, even more so, you see the whole fucking, oh, but I never had to do this in the past. Yeah, well, farmers in the 1800s didn't have massive fucking industrial combine harvesters. You're still fucking using they, aren't you? You are just fucking stupid. I lose my shit with farmers more often than not.
They compare current farm gate prices to government figures for the 10-year average for production volumes for the 5 staple crops from 2015 to 2024, finding a sharp drop in revenue. Farmers saw a 38.4% decline in revenue from oilseed rape, a 21.5% decline in milling oat revenues, and a 19.6% decline in milling wheat revenues, and a 16.1% in feed wheat, according to the ECIU. And what will also happen, I mean, it's logic 101. The harder it becomes to farm our crops and whatnot, the increase in our food is going to go up. I mean, the increase in food is going to go up in general because of climate change. Is one factor, but in particular, in order from a local for our own economy, the UK economy and English, Welsh, Northern Irish, Scottish, all their perspectives, like if we are producing less of our own, it means food is going to cost even more. And we don't. It's so important that we produce our own and not keep importing shit. We've got to get this out of our heads of like we have to protect our industries, British industries. You know,
we can't feed our entire population on what we can grow on this island. That's impossible. 2 seconds.
No, that is true, and I agree with that. But that's where we need to be doing more to make sure that we are protecting, as we all agree that we need to do more to protect our own agriculture and farmland as much as we possibly can for the future there.
Versus fucking up as well.
The environment does. I think it's a combination of both, Chris Fisher. I wouldn't say it's one or the other. It's not about adapting to the environment. It is. The environment does play a factor to it. But you are right about the corporate takeover of the production as well. That is definitely playing a problem with it as well, because at the end of the day, these corporations, as I'm sure you and everyone in the chat will agree, their number one priority is about making the most profit. You know, that's always their thing. It's the same with all farmers around the world. And we need to obviously make sure that farmers are given what they need, and not only that, being able to make a living as well. You know, there's a lot of
the poorer farmers, like they're not even making. They didn't even make a profit this year. They ended up going into cost.
Yeah,
because like the profit yield from the crops was nothing.
Yeah. British farmers produce only about 40% of Britain's food needs, says Steve McMahon. He also says that farmers are very resilient to change. They're reluctant to adapt to more sustainable methods, even though it is in their interest. Yeah, I think a good way to describe it is like there's a certain way that they've farmed, and when it's passed down to generations, it's been like the norm sort of thing. And you know, I think it's a fair thing to say like that. Like I think even not even in farming, but in general, people don't like change,
and the fact that everything changes.
Despite the fact everything changes, and you have to, like, farmers have to understand is that you can't just keep passing on generation and expect to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You've got to change and adapt with the times, and that's where
if farmers' practices did not change, they'd still be using a hand-drawn fucking plow.
That is true.
Like they're using combine harvesters and tractors. Like that. This wasn't in the 18 fucking hundreds. The 1700s.
Well, when are we going to get to a point where there's going to be computers doing it for them? Then them out there every morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's where farmers could actually, with their supposed knowledge of the land, start looking after the land.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did I say that bit? I don't know. I think I did. Farmers saw a 3.84% decline. Yeah, I did say those numbers. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Provisional Environmental Department DEFRA figures in October found 2025 to be the second worst year on record for England, with the harvest across the UK expected to be similarly poor. What surprised England was the worst. I don't think anyone's surprised by that. This year, anticipated poor harvest comes following another one of the worst harvests on record in 2024, which comes after the preceding autumn and winter saw an extreme rainfall. And we kind of touched on it. On when I covered BBC Weather. We've had lots and lots of rain recently. Tom Lancaster, the ECIU Land, Food and Farming Analysis says, and this has been another torrid year for many families in the UK, with the pendulum swinging from too wet to too hot and too dry. Yeah, it's two of one or the other.
Doing that from too wet to too dry to too wet. We're going to end up as a
stay in the centre. Give us a bit of rain, give us a bit of sunshine, but don't give us too much of the same. That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah. But then also a case of with adaptation, you also need to move to crops that work better with the changing climate. This is part of that. I think should be part of the research.
Oh yeah. Chris Fisher says it is the corporations ruin the farming environment, not farm families who live on their lands for centuries. It's capital extraction and land by corporation. Yeah, and this is where we need to rein in those corporations and hold them to account. And obviously, yeah, family farming is definitely under threat. I think we can all agree with that.
Family farms are to blame, are at least partly to blame for the slow degradation of our ecosystems, though, because it was largely them who hunted our top predators to extinction on this island, not actually the rich.
With confidence in the sector at rock bottom, there is an urgent need to ensure farmers are better supported to adapt to these climate shocks and build their resilience as the bedrock of our food security. He says delays to the relaunch of green farming payment schemes like sustainable farming incentives are the last thing the industry needs. David Lord, an arable farmer from Essex and a member of the Nature Friendly Farming Network steering group, says that near constant extreme rainfall, heat and drought in recent years, green farming schemes are a vital lifeline for me. But with the schemes closed and no clarity on the future, too many farms are locked out, unable to access the support they need to adapt, whilst facing wider agriculture policy that does too little to build our resilience and too often works against it, he added. DEFRA spokesperson acknowledged that there are challenges in the sector and extreme weathers that have affected harvests. They added, we are backing our farmers in the face of changing climate with the largest nature-friendly farming budget in history to grow their business and get more British food on our plates, they said. Yeah, of course, DEFRA would
I mean, there has been more money going towards it.
Oh, well, I mean, not the recent budget, but we know the first budget by Rachel Reeves. We had they announced £5 billion, wasn't it? I think going into the farming.
The issue is that part of the issue is that not a lot of people realise is that a lot of these areas are now Tory or refuck councils that don't even want these green incentives, even if the government wants to push it.
Yeah,
we saw that under the Tories. Where the national Tory government in 2016, 2017 was more willing to push a more green agenda, but the councils refused to do it.
Can't win, guys. Can't win. And that's why we're here talking about it, because if we don't talk about it, nobody else. The next story I've got for you guys, man, this is a sad one to read. This is from earth.org. So 95% of Europeans exposed to unsafe levels of air pollution, as report links it to 279,000 premature deaths in 2023. We talk about air pollution in we talk about air pollution here in the UK, or even in London, because London's obviously been something that, you know, the London Mayor Sadiq Khan has obviously been trying to tackle with the changes in the congestion charges and ULEZ. Thank you. There, but the fact that we have people dying as a result of air pollution, this should not be happening. But and we know it's probably worse. It's probably worse in America. It's the worst is, of course, is China, and it's like that's it may not, like 279,000. That's a lot of lives unnecessarily lost. They did not need to die. Here, and I guess the question is, what are we doing to keep our air clean? Well, one of many things is planting a bit more trees around our cities, but is one of many things that we can do. Turn our cars into electric buses, more electric vehicles. You know, more
less cars, more buses.
Yes, cars, more buses. Yep. You know, free buses would be a nice thing in London. Sadiq Khan, please take notes. Don't think it'll happen, guys, but yeah. There are lots of things we can do to reduce air pollution, but I will say there has been on some levels in parts there have been trying to reduce this, but nowhere near enough. You know, one life lost is always unacceptable. To be fair, guys, it's always unacceptable. So reducing air pollution to WHO guideline levels could have prevented 182,000 deaths attributed, to fine participate matter exposure, 63,000 people to ozone exposure, and 34,000 to nitrogen dioxide exposure in the European Union in 2023. The European Environment Agency has said this week. So nearly 280,000 deaths across the European Union in 2023 were linked to exposed to air pollution. Concentration exceeded levels deemed safe, a new report has found. The European Environment Agency, the EEA's latest data on air pollution published on Monday suggests that aligning air pollution levels to levels deemed safe by the World Health Organization could have prevented some 279,000 deaths attributed to particulate matter, ozone, and nitrogen dioxide exposure in the EU in 2023. And some 95% of Europeans are exposed to unsafe levels of air pollution, the EEA has said. In 2021, the WHO issued more stringent guidelines on air pollution following new research showing that PM 2.5, the most commonly used unit in air quality measurements, is more harmful than previously thought, and studies have linked to premature mortality, heat or lung disease, acute and chronic bronchitis. Is that right? Asthma attacks and other respiratory symptoms. And this is another thing as well, actually, the more I think about this here. It's not also just about those who are dying of air pollution. This is also contributing a problem when it comes to healthcare systems. And this also means that, and this also damages the economy as well, because from another perspective here, because not only are you having people dying from these air pollutions, but you also got people who are going to end up being sick, being unwell, going to be unable to work, and their respiratory systems are going to be down, which means that person can end up being someone going from a fully fledged working member of society to be somebody on the welfare system, simply because we haven't done more to protect to do more to clear out pollution within our cities in our area. So then that person also becomes a burden on the health. The person also becomes a burden on the healthcare system as well. So it just adds to the problems that we already have in some of these areas as well.
I thought Germany would have been better at this.
So this here is got the recommended 2021 World Health Organization air quality guidelines, the AQG levels. This is from earth.tabletooearth.org. So podulant, fine particulated matter. Yeah, in the 2021 AQGs there, annual 5, 24 hour 15. I'm not quite sure I understand
They're
this.
saying that for fine particulates per gram metric squared, per meter squared should be 5 annually.
Right.
Over 25, 24 hours, 15.
Hmm. It also says for the ozone, 8 hours and 100 there. Excuse me. UG/M3. I'm not again. I'm not very. I'm not quite sure.
Nitrogen oxide here. You're looking at
Annual 24 hour 40 there, nitrous dioxide there as well. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on these numbers, guys. My apologies, but on that, according to the report, PM 2.5 was linked to 182,000 premature deaths across the EU in 2023. So mostly in Italy, Poland, and Germany. While elevated, the number of deaths was 50. Sorry, say that again.
You just thought Germany would be better at it.
Is it
Italy? Italy, I get it because it's constantly ruled by right-wing nutcases. Fucking Poland has been. I'm surprised by Poland because it's been improving for the last 2 decades. But Germany, I'm surprised at being on the list.
Yeah, but isn't Poland's majority of their energy comes from the coal industry?
Poland, I think so, but they've been making moves to do things better over the last 20 years in Poland.
Yes, I do know they have a. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I still think that they have quite a strong union on it as well, which is a problem as well. Excuse me, guys. While elevated, the number of deaths was 57% lower compared to 2005. So this indicates that the EU's goal to reduce premature deaths linked to air pollution by 55%, introduced with the 2021 Zero Pollution Action Plan, according to them, was achieved.
So by their own standards that they set, they achieved that goal, but they didn't match it up to the WHO.
So they basically drew up a lesser plan than WHO and patted themselves on the back, saying, "Well, yeah." Exposed to nitrous dioxide concentrations above the WHO's guidelines, mainly from combustion sources, was responsible for about 34,000 deaths in the EU in the same year. The highest number of deaths was recorded in Turkey, Italy, and Germany, and this number has decreased compared to both 2005 and 2022, mainly due to reduced emissions from electricity, heat production, as well as road transport. Well, that's good if it's decreased.
They still reduced it, but they're still higher.
Yeah, it's still a ways to go.
Number. Again, Germany, I like Turkey. I kind of get because ruled by nutcases. Again, with Italy, ruled by nutcases. But Germany, really? I thought Germany over the last 10, 15, or 20 years has been making a better job on this.
But they've relied a lot on Russian gas, haven't they, as well? I don't know if that's played a part in it at all, the emissions.
I thought they were also moving to green. I thought they started moving to green tech like 10 years ago.
That's interesting. Exposure to the ozone concentrations above the WHO guidelines claims an additional 63,000 lives. Ozone sources included the combustion of vehicles and fossil fuels, in industrial processes and the use of chemical solvents. Compared to 2022, the number of deaths caused by PM 2.5, NO2, and O3 has decreased by 23.8%, 29.2%, and 10% respectively, according to the report.
I mean, I'm glad to see the numbers going down.
So you can. So this is a bit more. This one I can understand a bit more. So this one here, guys. It says the number of deaths that were attributed to exposure to air pollution concentration exceeding the WHO guidelines in 2022 and 2023. This is data from the EEA here, and you can see from 2022 to 2023 that the numbers have gone down, but nowhere near enough. So it's gone from 239,000 from PM 2.5 to 182,000. NO2 there. That's nitrous oxide, 48,000 to 34,000, and O3 7,000 to 63,000 there.
Hopefully the trend hopefully the trend will continue downward.
Yeah. Air pollution also impacts the quality of life and is linked to respiratory conditions such as asthma, the report said. Yeah, we agree with that. Also noted that new evidence suggested air pollution may also contribute to the development of dementia.
May contribute.
That would be, I'd be very interested to see the data on dementia, like in terms of global data on how much dementia has increased in comparison to now over the last 10 years or so. And I wonder I wonder how much it's increased and whether that is.
I will say, like, I'm still a bit confused as to why Germany would be like one of the highest on the list. However, it does occur to me that Germany is a manufacturing nation. So
it's a small piece, but I did find that piece quite interesting there.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway from this, despite the headline, is that the trend is going down. But I think that's good news in a way.
Yeah. Dementia increased because people live longer. That's also true. Joe. That's a very good point. And more cases are detected. Yes, and that is also true. Yeah, because again, we didn't used to record a lot of things in the past, and we're recording a lot more data on things. So yes, you're absolutely right on them, Joe. Thanks for sharing that.
Mara makes a good point as well. New Zealand is one of the biggest emitters per capita because they have a lot of cows and cows burping fart, producing methane, which is one of the worst greenhouse gases. That is also very true.
But we're working on it, reducing the dairy herds and using technology to change cow gut chemistry to reduce emissions. That's fantastic to hear. Yeah, that's good. That's great news to hear. Yeah, that's great news to hear. And Daily Blase, good to see you there lurking in the chat. Hope you are doing well. Guys, if you haven't already, do subscribe to Daily Blase YouTube channel. And obviously tomorrow night he has the Friday Frolic, so do join him for that if you can as well. There. It's just like autism. It has not increased. It has not increased. We're just able to diagnose it better, says Jam.
Same with the ADHD thing that Graham was gone about tonight with Red Street and Pollock.
More data. Yeah, okay, yeah, because because the US obviously Trump administration wants to go backwards on things, so they'd rather hide data than show the data on things. Yeah. This next one, guys, is one from over in Wales. It's from the BBC. So, waste from the UK's largest opencast mine poses a significant risk here. So, concerns have been raised over the safety of the 3 large spoil tips set to be left above the. I'm going to butcher the name, so apologies.
Martha Tiffel. I wondered. I thought I'd heard of it.
Merthyr Tydfil, did I say it right?
Yeah, Merthyr
Tydfil, following the close of the UK's last opencast coal mine. Yeah, so we still obviously, like, it's been 2 years or something since they closed the last coal mine, something like that, and the damage has kind of already been done to the environment in the area because of it. It's like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing to this area now that we've closed it? I guess it's a question that we'd be asking. I'm asking now. Like, do we just sit and leave it? Like, what? Like, is it a good idea?
Look what happened to the old mine that killed like a whole school full of kids. Is it in the 90s or something? I remember the name of that. That was in Wales as well. I don't know if someone in the chat can back me up on that one, but I'm sure a waste heap from Opencast mine collapsed in on a Welsh village and wiped out over 100 kids from the school. I'm sure someone in the chat could back me up on that one.
So we'll come to the map in just a moment. So a geotechnical report prepared for the council warns of significant risk of slope instability from Ethos Y Fran, while campaigners say plans to keep the tips in place are staggering. Emails obtained by the BBC shows the Welsh Government is considering stepping in to take control of the final planning decision. The mining firm,
West of South Wales.
Merthyr South Wales, MSW, has said suggesting that the purpose-built engineered structures pose the same risk to historical coal tips is incorrect and misleading, according to them. So this,
they would say that. Of course they would say that.
Richard says 1966. Is that it? Was that the year?
Aberfan. Yes, that's exactly the one I was thinking of.
Thanks, Richard, for that. So the Google map here says the 3 overburdened miles referred to as OB1, OB2, and OB3 contain a total of approximately 37 cubic meters of material removed during the mining there. So you've got the mining void there as well.
40 grand, yeah. And problem is where do you get rid of the waste? You pour it into the sea?
No,
I mean that's not going to do much good for marine ecosystem. You bury it, put soil on top, try and make the land surrounding it more secure. The problem is they've been doing this for so long that so much material is there. It's hard to actually get rid of it.
Is it possible to store it?
That's what I'm saying. Could they dig it up? Where do they put it? If not, do they bury it? No. Do they try to make it safe? Make foundations around it safe, and then.
Richard suggests transporting it to Clacton. Look, it's not fair. It's not fair on the people of Clacton. I like to remind people that not everyone in Clacton voted for Farage. Okay, it's really important to stress that.
Yeah, but the people there can fucking learn.
But the thing is, like, my idea of storing it, and I go, you see what the problem is. First of all, it's going to take time to dig it, to get it all up and store it, and that. Secondly, it's going to cost a shit ton of money from the taxpayer.
It's going to be very expensive.
And it's going to be very expensive. And not only that, there's the cost of maintaining the storage for it as well. So
is there no way? This is what I'm thinking. Is there no way to, essentially bury it under tons of soil and then plant forests on top of it?
That could be a solution.
I don't know if those mounds are too chemically volatile for that though.
I wouldn't recommend you. No, that'd just be dumping it in the sea, Joe. Building an island, yeah.
I don't know whether or not, if you did dump a load of soil on top, if that would just make the soil that we dumped on it more too acidic to even plant trees. It's a massive problem, and this should have been dealt with earlier. I mean, again, Aberfan really should have been a lesson on this.
It's been 2 years since the mining stopped there, and there remains considerable uncertainty over the controversial project's future. Given the go-ahead back in 2005, the UK's largest opencast mine was officially classed as land reclamation scheme, and that meant that parts of the profits made from selling 11 million tonnes of coal over 15 years had to be used to clean up the site, rid of the remains of old industries, and return it to the green hillside for the community. It was supposed to be for public amenity, and they were going to reinstate all the rights of way and agricultural use to Chris Austin, who lives nearby. Now he fears the community will be left with a dangerous void, dangerous tips, and areas we can't use.
MSW needs to be fined. They need to be fined into bankruptcy from what I've seen here. What the fuck? This company needs to be fined into fucking bankruptcy. Little bastards.
That sounds more like a realistic solution. Build solar panels on top of it, says SAS.
Yeah.
That could be a much better solution. Or you could just stick a bunch of wind farms around it as well. Just something, something.
I'm gonna read the rest of it. So from land reclamation scheme. So that meant that part of the profits made from selling 11 million tons of coal over 15 years had to be used to clean up the site, riddled with the remains of old industries, and return it to Green Hillside for the community. It was supposed to be for public amenity. They were going to reinstate all the rights of way and agricultural use said Chris Austin, who lives nearby. Now he fears the community will be left with a dangerous void, a dangerous tips and areas we can't use. Extremely worrying, said Alexander Austin, British wife. We were forced to accept this opencast coal mine, and now we're left with a situation far worse than we had right back at the beginning.
Yeah, but but it's like, well, when they obviously at that time, like climate wasn't even being discussed at the time when the mines were being opened, right?
But it was known about. The scientists knew about it.
Of course they did, but then they were ignored.
Because
and
companies like this.
The people didn't have a say. They were all pushed aside and saying, no, we're building these industries. We're bringing jobs and security for you and the people. That's what it was back in these days, wasn't it? All about job security.
This will piss you off even more. The current developers, MSW, have sparked anger locally and legal action after continuing to dig and sell coal for well over a fucking year past the deadline on their planning permission. These guys need to be fined into bankruptcy, and then that money used to rejuvenate the area. Fucking, I'm so pissed. That one bit there pissed me off royally.
They have since submitted a new and far cheaper restoration plan, warning of insufficient funds available to deliver what they have previously been agreed. Too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. Well, you better find the fucking money. I think, do you know what I generally think, right? I generally think this, right? Do you know what they should do? They should hold them in front of the committee, pull them in front of a committee in Westminster, and basically tell them, if you don't fucking pay for this, we're pressing criminal charges against you guys.
You should just take the money off of them. I would actually go further. I would take the money off of them. Like, you are not bankrupt. Find them into bankruptcy, take all that profit, and then do it. Like, they don't. You can't trust them to do it. Give it to the local. Give the money to the local council and whatnot. Give them the funding to sort this fucking shit out. Because there's no way the MSW do it by itself. They've already said they've submitted a new far cheap. They just want to keep more of their fucking profits, the greedy cunts. Sorry for
of course they do. Yeah, no, it's fine. Billy Kershaw said, we've had loads of open castings up here in County Durham. It's not good. Yeah, what's being done about them as well? That's another story we need to look at as well. Thank you for reminding us of that, Billy.
Cheers, Billy.
Under the original proposals, large spoil tips, which have been built over the years, would have been used to fill in the main mining void, which is 175 metres deep. That's 574 feet. The tips, known as overburden bowls, contain 37 million cubic metres of material removed while the open cast mine was operating.
So yeah, why don't you just move it back into the... Just move all that shit back into the gap you made in the ground. What's the fucking difficult about that?
It's cost money. It's dangerous.
It would have cost a lot less money than to try and deal with it now. Fucking greedy bastards. Sorry.
Welcome. Yeah,
that really pissed me off.
Yeah, this is capitalisation in a nutshell. Yeah, the tip's known that. The company now wants to reduce the height of one tip while leaving the other two in place. Yeah, of course it does. Talk about taking the fucking piss. It describes them as a long-term stable structure and said the mining void itself would become a natural lake. Are you fucking taking the piss? A natural lake. This is the big like. This is the big like. It'll be fine, guys. Just leave it. We don't need to give any more money. This is literally what they are saying here. This is literally what they are saying here.
They didn't learn from what happened at Aberfan in the 60s at all. Greedy fucking capitalistic cunt. Again, I apologise for the language.
Oh dear. The application is being considered by planners at the council who commissioned a geotechnical report from the engineering firm. The document concludes that the tips were constructed as temporary earthworks, and the proposal does not provide confidence that the tips and slopes will remain stable and will not pose an ongoing risk to the residents in the area and a potential financial burden to the council. Yeah, the council should not have to pay any of this shit.
Or at least the money that they should have the money, all of the money from the fucking greedy cunts given to them so they can deal with it. This is ridiculous.
The effects of climate change do not appear to have been considered, while in some cases it is dismissed with no supporting evidence, the consultants warn. What a surprise. They don't give a fuck about climate change. They also know that one of the tips known as OB1, which rises approximately 170 meters above a main road alongside the fire's has already suffered a landslide in 2022.
They should be arrested. The fucking executives of that fucking company should be arrested. Fuck's sake.
The report also knows the recent history of a number of tip failures across South Wales as a result of the high rainfall events as well.
Dennis Jewell, News climate spokesperson, said the residents of Merthyr Tydfil faced having to live with a botched restoration, and leaving the tips in place would be staggering and unconscionable. Coal tip slipping, this is not a theoretical risk. No, Aberfan! Fuck's sake! The Welsh government has recently announced a new disused tips authority for Wales, set up in the wake of concerns over the country's coal pits to be headquartered in Merthyr Tydfil. Hafelgar, the director of Friends of Earth Cymru, warned it could now end up having to add fossil plans overburdened mounds to its list of sites to monitor. It will happen. It will happen. Not could.
Yes, got to monitor it. Yeah.
That's an added burden on public authorities. It's totally unacceptable. Well, I know I disagree with that. No, the public authorities should take hold of this, because obviously private authorities can't fucking do shit, and they won't bother to do shit.
Yeah, you can't let
Letter to the council.
Yeah.
Consultants on behalf of MSW said there had been serious concerns about the geotechnical report, which they branded a desktop assessment. Oh my fucking gods. They responded by commissioning their own analysis from geological and mining consultancy James Associates, countering WSP's conclusions as to this tip stability. Of course, because they asked the private company to go and back them up. Oh, says the overburdened mounds were constructed to an approved design in compliance with regulations and have been monitored by a specialist. The landslide on OB1 had happened as a result of excavation work, and the likelihood of it failing in future would be absolutely minimized with appropriate engineering. In the old mine! Referring to recent landslides from old colliery tips in South Wales was a case of comparing apples and pears, the mine's consultant added. Oh, of course he'd fucking say that. Generally, colliery tips were located on steep hillsides where fossicrans overburdened mounds sit on ground with gentle gradients, differences too in terms of how they were constructed and their drainage system. The company also makes the case that its new proposals are more sustainable, cutting down on carbon emissions and air pollution from the heavy machinery needed to reprofile the land while delivering a more interesting and naturally biodiverse landscape. Oh. How much would it cost to restore Forsyth?
1 second. Let me just... I've got some super chats here. Thank you, Viper Scott, for the £5 super chat. Support the DPR, support Democrat Penguins Republic, and the Badger Society. The Badger Society too, my friend. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat there. And then another £5 super chat says confetti time. The confetti doesn't appear on the StreamYard, but it did appear here on when I swapped over. So thank you so much, my friend, for your support. That's very, very generous. There we go. I'm able to click, because I just had to swap my screen there. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you, Saz, for another 199 super chat. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Just a quick reminder, guys, please subscribe to One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel if you can. Please give him some love and support. Link for his channel down below. If you haven't subscribed already, guys, it'd be greatly appreciated there as well. Back to the horror. So estimates vary as much as removing the tips and filling the void with costs ranging from 50 million to 175 million.
like I can't.
Not
If I don't go, I'm gonna fucking shout, swear my fucking head off.
so. The most recent published company accounts, according to March 2025, includes provisions of some 91.2 million for meeting the requirement of the approved restoration scheme. The council noted in a recent letter to the firm. But there's a but. There now appears to be a resilience on the company using funds from a £15 million account set up jointly with the council as a backup in case the firm went bust.
They are profits. They are
Bust.
profits.
How could they go bust when they made money off this? How could they go bust? So let me get this right. Have they taken the money out and switched? Like basically, it's one of those. Like it's the same old shit with capitalism, right? When the company behind it, right, takes all the profits and then they move it off to Cayman Islands or whatever, out of the British government's hands, so the money they can't get it, right? And then that company that's overall responsible goes bust or whatever. Then they just set up another shell company or whatever, and then they can take the.
Not only that, but they demand that the government put in money for it. It's like, no, you fucking did the damage. You fucking pay for it, you greedy bastard. I'm going northern now. Like I'm swearing so much. I'm going northern.
Viper Scott says, Pagan, we had an open cast mine in Colburn. That was an old mine that the tip hills have been soldering away till they flattened them about a decade ago. So we know they had to be monitored big time.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, if you look at the picture on the screen, like, you can see that all they have to do is fill in the hole they dug out in the first place. They just
You just don't want to do it, yeah. This going bus thing has to stop, says Billy Kershaw. Yeah, it's such a scam. It's such a scam of companies getting out of paying their fair share, It really is. It really is. Last year, the Seeds Environment Committee described the oversight of the coal mine as a case of epic mismanagement. No shit. Which are now threatening to leave a permanent scar. No, you cannot leave a permanent scar. You can't let them run away with this.
It doesn't have to leave it. Like, it shouldn't have to be like this.
Campaigners have urged the Welsh Government to take over the decision-making process. Yes! Step in! Just step in. But do you know what I'm generally concerned about, right? I'm generally concerned about this, right? If the I hope this is a conversation that's brought up with regards to the run up to the elections in Wales.
Yeah.
And I am generally concerned about this, right? What I'm concerned about is that if we get, cross fingers, like we don't know what the numbers are going to be, but we're assuming we're going to have a Plaid Cymru and Reform joint government in Wales. That's what is of substance.
Plaid won't go into government with Reform. It will be a Plaid controlled government with probably working with either the Greens or Labour, with the Reformers the main opposition.
Well, I'll have to wait and see. But ideally, if it is a Plaid Cymru majority controlled government, let's say that, okay?
Yeah.
Based on the obviously the projections and whatnot and that. If that does come to fruition, and pray to God it does, they should take control of the situation. They should, if they're not already saying in their policy, they should be saying, we will take over the decision-making process of this. They would get so many people on board. Because Reform, we know what Reform wants to do. They want to open these fucking coal mines, guys. They want to open these coal mines because they don't give a shit about the environment. They're looking at it as, let's open these mines again so that we can create jobs in the area. That's what they will be saying. That's the message that I'm pretty sure Plaid Cymru are already saying this message, but it really is a bit more obvious, clear to that. Guys, we're going to wrap up this article. We'll leave the other two articles just because of the time, just for reference, guys. Let me try and finish this off, guys. But in the email, officials noted the possible Consequences of such action include the risk of site abandonment. They've written to the council in August requesting further information. Quote, given the level of risk, we are mindful that we need to ensure we provide a robust evidence base to the Welsh Minister to underpin any options that they may wish to pursue, the email says. Ms. Jules, a member of the South East Wales, says the Welsh Government had a moral obligation to the safety of the residents. Yep, and they should intervene, absolutely. In a statement, the company said that they were particularly disappointed by Ms. Jules' comments, go fuck yourselves, which they said they risk undermining confidence in the planning system, introduce political pressures into what must remain as evidence-based determination.
They're not going by evidence-based determination. They're going by off their fucking greed and profit, the bastards.
They remain fully committed to cooperating with the planning authority and every confidence that the application will be determined lawfully, impartiality, and based on the professionally verified facts, records, and recommendations, it says. The council said it would undertake a further consultation once it receives extra information from the developer. Aren't all these consultations costing taxpayer money as well?
Yes,
like that's costing money as well. Like this shit. So not only are it's not just that they're being stubborn about paying for it as well, but it's also costing Welsh taxpayers in the area because they keep dragging their feet on the information as well. So the cost for the taxpayer for these should literally be paid off by them.
Yeah.
They should actually be paying they should be paying for these consultations because they're the ones dragging their feet rather than coming out of Welsh taxpayers' pockets.
As far as I'm concerned, they should be fined up right until they go bankrupt, and then any more money they've got, then take that fucking money off them so they can pay for it. If you look at the picture, it's not shallow. Those gradients aren't shallow. Fucking fill in that damn hole.
It's just an abomination. The Welsh Government said it's working with the council and other partners to ensure the best possible outcome achieved for local people. And said the case remained under active consideration for calling by the Welsh ministers there.
It's fucking pissing. That is an actual pissing. Like, you can fill in that fucking hole.
You can fill in that hole.
It's not shallow. You can see it's not shallow. Look how steep those fucking the walls of that hole are. You fill that in. All three of those fucking men. Which would leave less danger to the roads that's on the other side of of the biggest one. On the other side of Fosse Fran. Like, this is a proper mistake.
I know, it's frustrating. Guys, before we go, I'm just going to let you guys know the other two stories. I'm just going to share them. We won't be able to cover them because we've gone over time. But I'll share them with you guys here anyway, just for reference in case. So this one is not a surprising one, but I'll just come in here. Trump administration announces plans to drill oil off California and Florida. The plan has been met with strong opposition from California Governor Gavin Newsom and is likely to draw bipartisan pushback in Florida as well. This is a story from last week. But I don't think Florida is going to be, I don't know how much Florida is against that, but it'll be interesting to see.
There's bipartisan pushback. That means Republicans and Democrats are pushing back on that in California. That's good.
Well, in Florida, sorry, it says there.
In California as well. Like,
California as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
The fact that both it's like I said, Gavin Newsom is likely to draw bipartisan pushback. That's Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah. And the other story, which we kind of touched on a little bit earlier anyway, because we talked about it just for reference there, is from Al Jazeera. At least 1,250 people dead. What caused the devastating Asian floods? Well, the monsoon, climate change, and among the factors as well there. As well.
At least people got their one angry pagan tonight.
Well, I've already gone crazy about like what are we doing about like not just helping them after, but what are we doing to prevent these? Now that's the question I keep asking: what are we doing to prevent them? Because we kind of just like let it happen and then we respond, as opposed to what we're doing to prevent it happening in the first place. You know. Those last two stories, if you guys want to check them out, links are in the description, as is all the other stories that we covered tonight here as well. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who come along. Thank you guys for all your comments and contribution, super chats as well for those who gave them. Really appreciate all your support. Guys, I haven't set out a date for January for myself and One Angry Pagan, but I will look to do so at some point in the future. I haven't really set a date for Roundtable or this in the new year. As I said, I'm looking to possibly starting a new series with Brown Price as well on Reform Talks, where we talk shit about Reform Russia. I know that's one that Pagan would definitely love to dive in and kick and scream about as well. Maybe we'll do a free roundtable at one point, a free roundtable on Reform Russia as well, there as well. But we will continue the series next year, guys. I know a lot of you didn't see it, but if you didn't, do check out the intro at the start of the show as well, because I've been waiting forever to get a chance to share that with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one as well. Thank you, One Angry Pagan, again, and hopefully you enjoy. Do you celebrate Christmas, don't you? I'm just making sure.
No, I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate 2 holidays and my birthday at this time of year. So
you got your birthday. When is your birthday?
The 31st of December.
New Year's Eve.
I celebrate Yola on the 21st and then Mother's Night on the 25th. So my mum's really happy on the 25th because she gets a present all to herself.
Well, there you go, guys. So make sure you mark your diaries for One Angry Pagan's birthday on New Year's Eve, guys. So yeah, thank you guys again, once again. As for myself, I'll be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another good morning show. No afternoon or evening live stream. I've got way too much wrestling content to do tomorrow. You don't want to know how much I've got to do, guys. It's insane. But it is. All I will say is that I'm not making the same amount of money as I am with YouTube, but it is every day it is growing. Every day it is growing is what I will say, guys. And like I said, yeah, this is the month where I make the least revenue from the YouTube channel. So you guys really helping out tonight really does make a massive difference because I'm doing less live streams this month, as you guys know. Also next week, guys, a roundtable as well. Myself, Witchy Golf, and Jenny Random Scottish History. So excited for it. I need to make sure they're both still all good for it as well. Cross fingers, they're both still okay, and there's nothing going to be in the way. I really hope not. So I'm really excited for that. So do join us next Thursday for that as well. There, but I don't have an outro, do I? I suppose I could play the video and then end the. I could play the video and then just click out. I suppose doing that, but. Yeah, guys, take care, everyone. Have a good evening. And do check out One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel. Link is down below as well. Please do subscribe to his channel. And also, if you're new here as well, do consider subscribing to my channel. Help me get to 2,500 subscribers. That would be greatly appreciated as well. And yes, do subscribe to Giles' YouTube channel, Daily Blase's YouTube channel as well. Both of them who were in the chat as well. So I'm going to play the intro video, and then I'm going to end the live stream. So cross fingers, I end the live stream before then. So take care, everyone, and a good night.